If you're new to the Dark Souls franchise, maybe Dark Souls 3 is your first Souls game, there's ways you can make your journey that much easier on yourself in the form of weapon infusions. These add certain elemental effects to your weapon that do a number of different things for you. Along with me today is my good friend Thorgun, who will cover everything you need to know about weapon infusions. So if you're a Souls veteran, this video is not for you, this is aimed at the new players. When looking at our weapon, we need to take into account two things. This number is the weapon's base damage. This number is the bonus damage we receive from our stat scaling. Firstly, to infuse your weapon, you need what's known as coals. There's 4 in total, and each one will unlock a different type of infusion to use. The first one we'll get is the Farron Coal. At the halfway fortress bonfire, when you meet Anri and Horace, go down and drop down from the ledges on the right hand side. Keep going straight along the right wall and enter a doorway in the end. Turn left and you will see a black knight guarding a few bodies. The body is at the end of the hall. This one holds the coal. When you've got the coal, go back to Andre the blacksmith and give him the item. This will unlock the heavy, sharp and poison infusion. First things first, let's look at my build, just so you know what numbers we're working with. I'm at soul level 120, which as of recording is the current meta for Dark Souls 3 PvP, and has been for other titles in the series. I'm running a quality build, which is heightened by these rings. Now let's look at the infusions you've just unlocked. The heavy infusion will reduce the base damage of your weapon, but heighten the strength scaling and completely remove dex scaling, so you should only use this infusion if you're using a high strength build. The sharp gem is like the heavy gem, but used for dexterity builds. It lowers the base damage but greatly increases the dex scaling, and does not completely remove strength scaling, it only lowers it. The poison gem adds a poison build-up to your weapon, which depending on your luck stat determines the duration of the poison effect on the target. The amount of HP lost with each tick is dependent on their total HP.
Next is the Sage's Coal. In Farron Keep, from the first bonfire, keep to the left side until you reach a small structure guarded by a dark wraith. The coal is on a body inside this structure. This will unlock the crystal, blessed and deep weapon infusions. The crystal infusion adds intelligence scaling and magic damage to your weapon, but lowers the scaling of strength and dexterity, and lowers the overall base damage. You should only use this infusion if you're rocking the mage build. The blessed infusion is rather important, especially if you're venturing into the catacombs of Carthus. If your weapon is blessed, it will stop the skeletons from reanimating. This infusion also adds a constant HP regen, but the regen does not scale with faith, only the damage does. Again, this lowers the base damage, adds strength and dex scaling. The deep infusion lowers base damage and completely removes the stat scaling from the weapon, but adds dark damage.
Next is the Profaned Coal. In Ithral Dungeon, in a room adjacent to the one with the 6 jailers right before the shortcut. This unlocks the Dark, Blood and Hollow infusions. The Dark Gem lowers the base damage, lowers the dex and strength scaling, but adds dark damage and increases faith and intelligence scaling. This infusion can be extremely powerful if you have high faith and intelligence stat. The Blood infusion lowers the base damage, but adds a bleed effect to your weapon. When the bleed builds up, it will do a bunch of damage all at once. You can make the bleed build up faster with consecutive hits and with the luck stat. Then we have the Hollow Gem. This lowers the base damage but scales with your luck stat, and it will further scale with luck if you are hollow. To become hollow, head over to the first bonfire in the undead settlement and find the pilgrim named Yoel. Send him back to Firelink Shrine and draw out your true strength. This will grant you a free level, but you will become hollow. When you die twice, you will be granted another free level up to a total of 5 times.
Next is the Giant's Coal. On a giant's corpse in Anor Londo, from the bonfire go up the stairs, turn left inside the building. This will unlock the Lightning, Simple and Chaos Infusion. The Lightning Infusion is one of my personal favourites, as I normally go a Faith build. This infusion again lowers the base damage, strength and dex scaling, but adds lightning damage which scales with your Faith stat. The Simple Infusion is popular among mages as it adds magic damage and FP recovery. FP is the blue bar you use to perform weapon arts and to cast spells. This lowers the base damage, strength and scaling, but adds magic damage. The Chaos Gem is popular with Pyromancy builds, as it adds fire damage that scales with your intelligence and faith but lowers the base damage, and lowers the strength and dex scaling.
Infusions which do not require a call are the Fire Infusion, which completely removes stat scaling, lowers the base damage but adds fire damage to your weapon. The Raw Infusion will completely remove stat scaling but greatly increase base damage. This combined with low strength or dex but high luck can be combined to make some very deadly builds. The Refined Infusion is made for quality builds where you have an even number of strength and dex. It balances the scaling for both of those stats but lowers the base damage. We hope we've managed to make things a little bit more clearer. Again, this isn't aimed at people familiar with the series, it's aimed at the new players. Thank you for watching, and until next time.